Well, good morning and a warm welcome to everyone. Many thanks for joining us in today's webinar, Advancing Your Manufacturing Operations Through Industry 4.0 Practices, which will be presented by our friends here from Integra Systems. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Mary Jacobenov and I'm the Relationship Manager at Northlink, and I'm currently managing Melbourne's North Advanced Manufacturing Group. This group was recently established to support manufacturers across Melbourne's northern region. We hope events such as these can build business capability and provide an opportunity for networking. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Chris James, Executive Director of Northlink. Chris, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you kindly, Mary, and I'd really like to welcome you all to this event. I'd like to acknowledge traditional owners, wherever you may be. In my case, it's Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung country, and I'd like to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to welcome all of you in the Northlink network who are coming along today. As Mary said, this is one of the first events that our new advanced manufacturing cluster is putting on, and this is a group that sits beside our Melbourne's North Food Group in terms of building capability in manufacturing for Melbourne's North, and we'd acknowledge the Melbourne RDA Committee and DJPR for their initial support of this cluster. So the cluster is all about building capability, and Industry 4.0 is a part of that, moving manufacturing along the value chain in Melbourne's North. And we are moving from being a traditional manufacturing region to one based on advanced manufacturing, knowledge industries and services, and this is very much part of that. I've known Paul and Erica from Integra Systems ever since I started at Northlink nearly 6 years ago, and we were introduced by our mutual friends at Hughes City Council, who I believe are here today as well, so acknowledgements to you. Paul and Erica are going to give a short presentation, then a demonstration of Industry 4.0 and how they've implemented it at their firm, and there'll be time for some Q&A and discussion. But now it's time for me to introduce Paul and Erica Hughes, and just some short background information on both of them, and a very inspirational couple they are. Firstly, Paul Hughes founded Integra Systems in 1991, straight out of university, having completed a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering, first class honours. Paul has built Integra into a leading, award-winning Australian industrial product development company, and also a fully digitised advanced manufacturing company. Erica Hughes is the Commercial Director at Integra Systems and provides expertise in business management, strategy, business development and marketing. Erica works with the entire Integra team to ensure Integra is recognised within the market for its positive contribution to Australian advanced manufacturing and leadership in innovation and product development for its clients. So I might leave my introduction there and introduce Paul and Erica. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks, Mary. Really appreciate the opportunity to present our Industry 4 journey, and hopefully add some value about, providing some insights about how people can start on that journey. I think it's a journey that's, always going to be a work in progress, and it's just one of those things that you have to start somewhere. So yeah, hopefully everybody can get something out of this today. Like to also just keep it relatively informal. If anyone's got any questions along the way, don't hesitate to enter it in the chat, and we can sort of answer questions along the way. Otherwise, there's time for questions at the end in the Q&A section. So we'll do a short presentation, which I'll do part of. Then I'll hand over to Erica, and I'll head out into the factory just so we can show the whole system in context. So yeah, just we'll move on to the next slide. So the agenda. So overall, just presenting Industry 4, the fourth industrial revolution and beyond. How, about gaining a competitive edge using Industry 4. A little bit about our kiosk system, including a live demonstration, and then some time for Q&A at the end. So as we see at Industry 4, there's a lot of aspects to Industry 4, and I think people can sort of be overwhelmed about where to start. And, all these elements of it are, all part of it. And it doesn't matter where you start. It's just sort of, picking which areas are going to be most useful for you and putting a stake in the ground and starting somewhere. And the rest of it will start to build on itself once you kind of make an introduction into some facet of it. So, there's, in terms of our business, we're probably using or implementing a lot of the things here. So Internet of Things, which is our machine connectivity, additive manufacturing. We're using robotics, cloud computing, system integration. Cybersecurity and big data is becoming a sort of a bigger focus for us now that we're moving further into higher levels in the defence industry. We've always done a lot of simulation, including sort of simulation of workflow. And we're also starting to move into augmented reality for some assembly tasks. So it really doesn't matter where you start on the journey, just you've really got to just put a toe in the water, and your people providing you, the key to it is being surrounded by good people, and they will help to drive the whole system for you. So essentially our systems, what we found, we had, even though we've got and most businesses have an ERP system that is the framework for your business, we were still sort of a little bit fragmented to a degree. So we had our ERP system, our drawings, we're running things through in quite a traditional way, using job bags, and traveller sheets that go around with the jobs going through the computer, through the factory, through the production. So essentially what we've done is created a kiosk-based system, which is a touchscreen system where we have a 42-inch touchscreen at every machine, and we're meshing together data from our ERP system, our complete Cad library, and live data coming out of those machines to create, it's a two-way interactive system. So information comes out of our ERP systems and our Cad library, and can also go back in, and we're comparing data that's actually happening on the machines at the time with how we've quoted things, and our standard costings in our ERP system. And as a further development to that, we're now starting to feed the data back into our ERP system in an automated way, so that our costings are continuously getting updated. So it's basically to create a complete paperless, digital and paperless environment in the factory. And that, in that regard, it consists of a lot of different things. There's PDF drawings, there may be photos of a particular setup that the operators have wanted to capture. There's 3D drawings, animations. We can capture engineering change requests. We can engage with customers at the manufacturing process. So there's a whole lot of things there. Now, this is all stuff that's really relevant to us. So in our system, we've worked hard to create a system that just works. There's a lot more features that you can have, but we've cut it to really what we've found really does work for us and assist with our manufacturing environment. And through that, we're also providing live KPIs based on our progress on jobs. So we can sort of put a lot of this in context after this. So a lot of people are probably maybe unsure about what Industry 4 or the fourth industrial revolution is, but the evolution of industrialisation started with mechanisation, then there was electrification, there's automation, automation is still happening in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, and a big focus for Australian companies. Then there's digitisation through the Industry 4. And then we see the next stage as sort of the personalisation and people working alongside, working alongside machines, in the form of cobots, a lot more customisation of jobs. So it's nothing to sort of really be scared about. It's sort of something that's, I think it's going to be a lot more human interaction. It's not none of this is going to be phasing people out of the manufacturing process or anything. It's really upskilling people and combining that automation, digitisation with the people and the personalisation side of things. So part of it, Australia is, there's been a big focus on advanced manufacturing, and in a lot of ways Australian manufacturers are the best in the world. We saw this Industry 4 as the next evolution of that, or complementary to the whole thing, and really stay ahead of our competitors, but also stay ahead, or up to, if not ahead of the rest in the world. And we've done a lot of travel through the Asian countries, China, places like that, but also a lot through Europe. And I really do think we're batting above our wicket in this place, in this space. Like, there's no doubt the Europeans and the Germans have got some fantastic technology, but in a lot of ways, it's maybe not Australianised. It's maybe on a scale that is sort of overwhelming people in the Australian market. So we've really created something that's really fit for Australian business. And one thing that was just a bit of an insight, we've recently undergone onboarding audits with a couple of the big defence players in Australia, Hanwha Defence and Rheinmetall Defence. And one of the things with Rheinmetall, with our kiosk-based system, is that they found part of the onboarding audit was to demonstrate our capabilities to the German parent company. And by being able to walk through our factory, each one of our kiosks is equipped with a camera and microphone. Being able to walk through our factory from machine to machine and actually engage the German engineers with the actual process of where their parts were going, that was gold to them. I think, in this day and age where there's, incredible pressures on manufacturing, just that communication and transparency to your customers is just, half the battle. That's just what they want to see. They really want to be able to have an insight into your business and see that, relatively complex processes can be untangled sort of and displayed to them in real time in front of their eyes. So that's one thing that's really, we feel, has really given us a competitive edge and really put our sort of type of manufacturing on the global scale. Yeah. So I think that is my cue to hand over to Erica, and I will head upstairs, set up out in the factory and start be able to provide a demo of the system in context. So thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Can you silence, please? Thank you for your attendance. I think hopefully you get, if you can just wait 2 seconds. Sorry, no, we're all good now. Hopefully you get some insights into what we've done, but also what the possibilities are for other businesses. And I know that this is sort of talking about our journey, but this is also relevant for a whole range of businesses out there, and particularly I think the food industry as well, in terms of managing processes and ingredients and things like that is going to be, I think, interesting. Well, I hope it's interesting to you guys from that perspective as well. But what I wanted to talk about was our journey. So where we started. So this has actually been, you know, I mean, Industry 4 and automation, etc., has been something that has been evolving over the years. But for us, we really started to tap right into our technology and extracting data and using the live data to manage our facility. And that sort of started in about 2018. And we put on an electronics engineer. So what we did is we connected up our legacy machines we created our own circuit boards for our legacy machines, and we connected up the software from the Industry 4 compatible software with our new machinery in order to extract the data and just begin our journey. So that then led us through the process of identifying that we wanted to have representation of our machinery performance at every single work centre and engage our staff in the journey. So one of the things that's really critical for us is the cultural side of things, and doing that change management and bringing the staff along with us and them understanding that this is not measuring their performance. It's about engaging them in how the business actually delivers to the client. And they actually began to feel really empowered and enjoyed inputting that information into the machine and being able to become an active part of the customer journey. And so throughout that process, then we've actually put in our own computer scientist who has helped us with developing the front end interaction with our staff, because you want to have a fairly uncomplicated front end, but he's also then been able to map our entire back end to that front end, which is obviously more complicated. But he's been able to map that together so that we can extract the data and the information and input the data and information in a very simple format. And during COVID, so during that 2020, 2021 period, when, well, particularly in the early stages of 2020, when it was uncertain as to where things were going with COVID, that was when we really invested most of our time, because we knew that there was perhaps a little bit of a pause in the market. No one really knew what was going to happen. Orders were a little bit slower at that point in time, so that's when we upped the ante and really injected a lot of energy into that Industry 4.0 process. So from that point, we actually developed the features of the kiosk. So we created the kiosk itself. We customized the front end. We are able to, for other people as well, we started going down that process of developing it for others, where we could customize a kiosk. We have a floor, wall, or desk mounted option. It's able to be managed with any screen interaction. It can be touchless or touch screen. Ours actually has a Windows 10 interface and operating system. And with the actual kiosk itself, we've got a flip-out keyboard, so that you can interact with the keyboard or with a touch screen. And there's a few other little features in the kiosk itself, like the video conferencing. So we've got the fisheye lens and the speaker. We've made it so it's ergonomic, so we've concentrated on the height and the design of it, so that it is an ergonomic interaction for our staff. And this is actually how the kiosk functions at the moment. So fundamentally, we've talked about what our kiosk actually does, but the main outcome for it is the workflow management, our ability to communicate with our customers directly through video calls or with the design office. So it saves a lot of time with running backwards and forwards. We've got the machine connectivity side of it, and our staff actually clock in and out of the system, so it's linked directly with our payroll. We've got it linked to our CAD system with the drawings and the assembly instructions. And because our staff are interacting directly with the drawing office, they can log issues, they can log engineering change requests right there on the spot. So that's actually then registered in our design office. It can be actioned straight away. And there's an inherent quality assurance optimization, so the ability to actually manage the quality process through the kiosk itself, which is part of when we did the presentation to Defence, that was one of the things that they really felt that came across quite clearly, was the ability to actually manage our quality system through our staff, and all our staff are empowered through that process. And then we've got the productivity control, which is fully optimised because everybody's engaged at every step of the way. So I'm going to hand over to Paul now to do a live demonstration. The video was basically to provide you with a bit of an overview of what it's going to look like, but now you get to see it raw and in the environment in which it's being used.
But this is I'll go through just some of the key features of the system. So first of all of our operators, well, every team member is linked into the ERP system, and any individual can log into the system either manually by putting a password in, or through facial recognition. So I'll just show you, we've got to log in. So the first step, so when they arrive at the start of the day, they would log in. I can take a snapshot. Now I'm logged into the system, so that will start capturing my times that I'm here for the day. Then I would go, depending on the work centre that I'm working on, I would go to my task list. So, for example, if I was working on the fibre optic laser, this is a daily task list. There's also a master schedule, but I can go to just a daily task list, which is what we call a whiteboard schedule. It's all extracted from the ERP. Can log into a particular job. It brings up a parts list for that job. It brings up any drawings relevant to that job. So in this case, there's only one drawing associated with it. It's a PDF. I can open that PDF in a new tab, zoom in, zoom out. For build to print applications, a lot of what you'll be doing is it's customer drawings would be coming up here, but for jobs where we've done the design work ourselves, then we can go further and actually have 3D SolidWorks drawings, animations, that sort of thing, which I'll show you in a minute. So then once you've selected your job, you would clock in and it starts capturing your time for that particular job. I won't do it in this case. It would start capturing times against the job, which gets fed back into the ERP system as a future comparison of how you were tracking on that job. But also, as for the historical reasons, we capture the data, but we can also do live monitoring and monitor the process so that we can do something about it in real time if we're not tracking on track. But before I go to that, I'll also say we can also raise some engineering change requests that will go back into the ERP system against the particular work order number, which is 15762 in this case. So any things that the operators may come up with that need to be adjusted or they want additional information added, or they're having trouble with something, can all be captured and fed back to the engineering department. So then we've got a factory level dashboard that is measuring real time the orders that are due to ship, any quality issues, who's logged into what tasks. So just general things that our production team, management team need to have access to. And then we've also got machine level dashboards. So each of our machines there's a comparison. So this is, for example, Mick on our laser cutter. This particular, we call it a racing bar chart. So basically, in this case, in 18% of the time, we've run 32% of the parts. So this is, and in actual fact, this is a job that we're exporting to China. So that's quite a good one. But so that's the type of thing we want to see. We want to see that we're exceeding what we've quoted for the particular job. I'll see what else we've got. On our panel folding machine, for example. Oh, well, we've actually just completed a job, so that's complete. So in actual fact, this wasn't a good example. So we took us 148% of the time to complete the job. So it was so that would be something that was probably monitored closely with the production team while we were running it, but also flagged for investigation later on. We've got video communication. So this is quite a useful tool, and Rheinmetall and Hanwha Defence really liked. Each one of our kiosks has got a camera and microphone built in, and then we've got our common contact, so we can connect to anyone from the engineering department or any other kiosk in the factory by embedded Zoom communication. We can also put in an email address to, say, a customer whose job we're working on, send them a Zoom request, and they'll get, they can open up a window and be seeing exactly what we're doing. So it really helps with troubleshooting jobs in context without leaving the machine. It's not that the guys are lazy and don't want to leave the machines. It just saves so much time being able to ask the questions in context. So I won't connect now because it'll probably too many connections. It'll confuse the issue. And then further to that, we've also got access to our full Cad library. So this is tapping in. We run SolidWorks PDM for our document control. So this is actually tapping into PDM with all jobs in our Cad library. So we can search jobs by, so we've got an advanced searching function. So we can either search by document type. So we've got documents such as PDFs, Word documents, just photos, general documents, SolidWorks parts, Composer parts, DXF drawings, or DWG drawings. We can also search by, we've made our drawings contextual based as well. So for example, at the cutting stage, we may only need external dimensions and a few reference dimensions for somebody to know that the part's right. With folding, we might, we'll need more detailed information and a lot of tolerancing. With assembly, we use a lot of animated instructions. So I'll show you the type of drawings that we use for. So we use a type of drawing called a composer drawing. We're gradually, all of our repeat jobs and complex assembly jobs are gradually being built in Composer, which is sort of a non-engineering way of building sort of a work instruction, like an IKEA work instruction. So I'll show you an example of that. So this is,
Paul, we've just got a question here if you'd like to answer that one.
yep.
So this is from George. Does this work better enable circular design and your commitment to the circular economy?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, look, I mean, anything that sort of streamlines our processes and I suppose, you know, in terms of a circularity point of view, it's reducing waste, it's saving time, it's feeding back, you know, feeding into the system, how to improve things. So it's really a continuous improvement type system. So yeah, in that regard, it really helps with the circularity, less quality issues. Yeah, so from a circular point of view, yeah, it's probably more circular in the lean sense of things and the continuous improvement, as opposed to a design type of circularity. But yeah, it's certainly helping reduce time, which is waste in our case, and process efficiency. And particularly this type of work instruction. So this is animated assembly instructions for assembly of a well, really a circular designed digital screen bollard that we do. These are for KFC drive-throughs. It's a digital menu board. So it's essentially a sheet metal structure that's provided in flat pack format, which again is a circular principle, where the screens are assembled on site, and it provides a KFC have 3 of these in every drive-through. So it's a complete digital menu board. In this case, we haven't designed the digital experience, but we've designed the enclosure. It goes through every step of the process, so the operators get a little parts list of the assembly step and a detailed instruction of how to go about that. You know, measurements of our assembly efficiency before and after having this sort of tool, particularly on this job, are you know, really positive. It's a huge advantage. So yeah, so that's where we're adopting that in a lot more instances. And then a further step to that is looking into augmented reality. We're not there yet, but and as I said, it's a journey, and so that'll be the next step in the journey. But also this type of thing, just putting the kiosks and having the ability for the all our production team to have access to these sort of tools, you're providing the most current information to your operators at any time. So you're really empowering them, and that was another thing that Rheinmetall Defence highlighted. And your young people and the people in your team will actually drive your Industry 4 journey for you, because you're putting the work instructions in a format that's familiar to them. You know, everyone knows how to use necessarily. So this is sort of moving. Guys coming out of uni won't even know what to do. The Cad upskilling people to a much higher level. So I think each one of these stations is also used. Sorry, I'll just close that. Oh, come on. Has the ability to be used as a programming station. So whilst it's touchscreen, we've also got the keyboard on every machine, and on some of our more sophisticated machines, we do some of the programming actually at the machine. So yeah, that shows you a little bit about the system, and I might transfer back across because I believe we've got some, you know, I'm sure there's some questions, and Erica's probably got a few closing comments as well. So hopefully that's provided everyone with a bit of insight. Okay, all right.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, so I'm back again. Now there was a little bit of a bit of technology issue there with the transmission. Sorry about that. But what Paul was trying to say in that section where it broke down was that one of the things that we have worked hard at doing is linking in with universities and developing our processes with a lot of interns. So we're sort of training up the interns. We're working with young people, young engineers who have actually been key drivers of a lot of this technology. I think that it's having a younger team has been a key to helping us adopt this really quickly. And then when the older members of the team start to see how good and effective and quick this can be, they're actually they embrace it and they're willing to upskill themselves in this area as well. So it's sort of like an organic transformation by having young people driving this. It gives our young people the experience and the ability to be key drivers of a new process, which makes them, it enriches their experience. So I think that was sort of what he was trying to sort of explain throughout that process, was it's the university engagement and the ability to sort of work with the younger team members that have helped us drive our particular journey. And with, So basically coming back to the workflow management. So, you know, we talk about the conventional manufacturing workflow, which does involve a lot of paperwork, a lot of backwards and forwards between staff members and the design team, or staff members and their management team, checking paperwork against the actual production process itself. Then there's the clarification, and they need sort of support staff to help them along the way. And then once it's processed, the actual process itself does often carry a lot of paperwork, and particularly with your quality checks and quality systems, etc. And then often the staff member will go back and they have to submit their completed quantities or whatever the process is that has just been completed to their management, and then that data is then put in by the manager, sometimes into the ERP, sometimes it's a manual process, sometimes it's an automated process. But the typical conventional manufacturing workflow is there's a lot of touch points. And what we've managed to do with the K4.0, which is what we call our solution there, is to you know, halve those touch points. And it empowers a staff member to make a lot of decisions along the way and be able to input the data directly into the back-end system. And then that's all logged directly into the performance process management and the productivity optimization process. So you're putting the power or the empowerment into the hands of the staff and their ability to interact directly with the digital processes, and it also gives the management opportunity to free them up for other process improvement and continuous improvement projects as well. So, and coming back to George, your excellent question on circularity, the actual kiosk itself is also designed from a circularity perspective. So you've got your process improvement from the circularity point of view, but the actual flat pack and the ease of assembly of the kiosk itself, there's been a lot of circularity thought design process in the back end there. And then refurbishment. So the process that we've got with the commercialisation is we do have the ability to bring the equipment back to Integra, refurbish and resend out to the client, or we can have some sort of a recycling process. Recycling materials is, I guess, the last step and the least wanted step, because we actually want to refurbish and repurpose where we can. So that's where that circular economy comes into our kiosk program. And at the end of the day, you know, we've talked about a lot of the benefits that come out of this, but you know, the empowerment of staff and the control over our production processes has been a major breakthrough for us. So from a cultural perspective, people, you know, they want to come and work for us. They want to stay with us. All our designers work in production and they work in the design department as well. So everybody has the understanding of how the production processes work and the productivity improvements that are involved there. But ultimately, I think it's about DIFOT and customer satisfaction. And we are able to actually improve that experience through the video conferencing function, through our ability to check with our clients on, you know, we have a part that we might be prototyping. You can prototype on the spot with them without them having to be there. So we've found it's actually been a bit of a pandemic-proof process as well. So with all the lockdowns and isolations, we've been able to actually communicate well with our clients and keep the production processes running smoothly because we have that video comms. And then, of course, there's the inherent quality process in it, which has provided us with massive business gains. So we've got we're able to have closer management of our supply network. We've been able to improve our DIFOT and the quality process with the staff engagement and morale, and also the stakeholder engagement, being, you know, customers and also our management tracking of it has been really important. So overall, we've found that it's provided us with a much more optimised business model and business performance, and it's given us greater control over what's actually happening. And our aim, I guess, is to be able to do this for other people as well. We'd like to, so it's a product that we've commercialised. It's something that we can adapt to a whole range of industries, and it's customisable as well. So we're hoping that by showing you guys how we've gone about it, and it is a journey, there's no end game here, it's a journey. So as long as everyone is able to start somewhere, as Paul said right at the beginning, put a stake in the ground. Some of our clients are basically just wanting facial recognition login is one way to, and link with payroll, because some of our clients, particularly in the contract manufacturing game, have had some time card theft is a problem in the industry, where someone might not show up that day and then mate clocks them in, so they're not tracking their sick leave or their annual leave or whatever, or they might be running late and someone clocks them in. So that is a basic Industry 4 process, that 4.0 process, that has been able to be improved just through this process, and that saved companies a hell of a lot of money and a lot of time. So there's little things like that right through to this bigger picture that we've demonstrated. So there's lots of different steps along the way that can be implemented at various stages. So I want to hand over to the floor. So Talia, we might leave it to you to facilitate questions and yeah, shoot them through.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul and Erica. That was fantastic. So we'll start off with the first question here from Charlotte. Paul, you mentioned that you decided not to use some features available to you.
Sorry?
You wish to identify these features and were useful or not.
Sorry, Talia, I just, you say.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Yep, I'm all good now, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So this one's from Charlotte. So Paul, you mentioned that you decided not to use some features available to you. What process was used to identify what features were useful and which ones were not?
It was probably actually putting them out on the interface, and if we found that we weren't really getting a benefit through that, so it was, we'd introduce, certain KPIs into the interface, or certain functionality. Like at the moment, for example, there's a couple of tabs that I didn't go into, but there's a purchasing tab where people on the shop floor can, raise a purchase request for, consumables like packing foam or tape dispensers, just stuff like that might sometimes be overlooked. So that's a module that we're trialing at the moment. So I didn't sort of go into that, but so we sort of monitor the uptake, whether it's working for us, how much benefit we're getting out of that. And if it's not being used, rather than just sort of leave it there as sort of having it as another bells and whistles type thing, we're pretty ruthless, and we'll just say, yep, look, that's hasn't provided any benefit. Let's take that out and stop using it. So, you know, I think everyone wants to go to this grand level where you've got all these bells and whistles. It's like an ERP system, not the ERP providers will sell you an ideal that you put this ERP system in that's got absolutely everything, and at a push of a button, you're running your whole business. Well, it's not the case. Sometimes you've got to go back to what actually works and just use what works in a robust way. So, yeah, we've been pretty ruthless to kind of cull things that aren't being used. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Paul. Next question. So Viv Banner would like to know, how is the production schedule created? Is it through an ERP system, fitting into what you're saying, into the 4.0 system?
Yeah, so there's an APS schedule that we run in the ERP system, which is like a master schedule, and then based on, you know, there's always other factors that are going to determine your schedule, you know, customer demands and availability of materials, or, you know, all that kind of thing, which are going to be, which the ERP system really can't sort of always know in context. So we run a master schedule, and then the schedule that I brought up, for example, on the laser is called a whiteboard schedule that is set every day or every couple of days based on our immediate production demands. And then the APS schedule is only as good as your estimates that you've created based on how you think a job will run, and then the ability to sort of feed back data into the system about how the job did run. And a lot of people using ERP don't complete that loop, so they never sort of get better in what they're doing or fine-tuning things. So that's something that we're also automating. So it'll go back through our complete history of a job, rule out any, you know, kind of create a standard deviation, rule out any highs and lows that might be related to someone not clocking in or not clocking out, and average that data, then feed it back into the system. So our scheduling is going to keep getting better. Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, this one's from Bo from Melbourne Poly. What is your workforce profile and their education levels? Uni degrees, vet, apprentices?
Yeah, so sort of we've got a couple of apprentices. We also work really closely with the unis. I think Erica mentioned earlier with well, through Northlink and through La Trobe Uni, we've had some RMIT, Alida, who's actually working relentlessly in the background to keep things running smoothly here from a marketing and, you know, the presentation point of view. She's a RMIT intern. We do try and Swinburne Uni. Yeah, well, we've got people from actually Erica's. We've got people from pretty much all unis, but we've really found the unis with that sort of practical side to them has been a real good fit for us. A lot of the uni interns are sort of craving that shop floor experience, because they realise that they just haven't got, you know, to go out and be a good engineer. They're not just going to step into an engineering role with the theory, you know, and learning how to operate a press brake or you know, the laser cutter or the panel folder, all that sort of thing, and doing it in this interactive sort of way is really sort of setting them up for a really well-rounded career. So a lot of our people sort of start on the shop floor. It's a kind of a try before you buy. We have a lot of uni students and they all start on the shop floor first. And as our business has grown, we've been able to employ them in engineering roles, and they really understand that engineering and project management side of things. So yeah, it's kind of a really across a lot of skills, and plus we're very hands-on, so we tend to mentor the young people in the skills. And as I mentioned too, they'll sort of drive the systems for you. So it's, yeah. Hopefully that answers the question. Erica might just have a couple of things to add to that as well.
Sorry guys, can you hear me? So
good.
just with the profile, so it's actually a broad range. So we have, it's interesting because we've got at the management end, there's Russell, who's our director of innovation, and Paul and I. So you've sort of got a range of age and experience there. We've also at our sort of management level and supervisory level, we do have experienced people working with the younger members. So it's not all young people. So what we try and do is we try and blend the profile of the more experienced with the younger members of the team. We have our apprentices working with the more experienced ones, but they obviously understand technology, so they're embracing all of that as well. And I'm I am an advocate for women in STEM, so I've been really driving that hard, and we've got a lot of young well, all age women working with us. And we've also engaged with the local high schools, and we have a Year 12 program where Year 12s come in on a Saturday and they'll work with us as well. So there's a range of ways that we actually engage with the universities, the high schools, and also try and have a diverse workforce from gender, age, and nationality as well. So we have a lot of international students learning from us as well, particularly through La Trobe Uni. So that's another pathway as well. So there's quite a broad range that we can of people who work with us.
Fantastic, lots of great opportunities there. I've got a couple more. I'm conscious of time. Fantastic that we've really engaged here. So I've just got one from AK who's interested in your ERP systems. So looking at single software packages or multiple integrated packages. Question here is, what is your investment in people in maintaining and developing ERP? Are you happy to indicate the software systems you use?
Yep, definitely. I've got a bit of a echo happening here. All good. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I think we've got the technical side sorted out. Yeah, look, we've got a ERP system called MyTrack. It's a company called MIE Solutions in California. And when at the time we purchased it, it was largely because it was sort of had a sheet metal based front end. Probably realised that a sheet metal front end wasn't as necessary as we thought it was, but it's been a fantastic package, and we've actually had a lot of we've sort of done a lot of referrals for them recently. Some large trailer manufacturers, for example, some other defence companies. There's a lot of people really interested in that system, but it's not. It is a case of multiple systems. So, you've got your CAD and your PDM, you've got your ERP. We still use MYOB for our accounting because it's an American, the MyTrack is an American system, so the accounting system's not suitable. So that's another part of, I suppose, the Industry 4. We've created a link between MYOB and our ERP that at a click of a button you can transfer your purchasing and invoicing straight across, so it doesn't matter that it's an American system. We've also created or working on, and it's still in a development stage, but being able to publish directly from a CAD model into our ERP system. There's companies around the world who are saying they do it, but believe me, there's no one who really does it properly. And we've created the ability to create manufacturing operations and bill of material items directly from the CAD. So it's a whole lot of systems. You're not going to get one system fits all. So it's a whole lot of subsystems that come together that are meshed together to create an overall solution. And we've got that ability inboard through a computer science team. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
We've just on time. Maybe we'll do one more and then we can wrap it up. I've just got one here from Gerard. Just wanting to know if the kiosk has been made waterproof and for the use of outdoors.
So yeah, that's an interesting one. So the enclosure itself, like if we use the example for the KFC version of the kiosk, the enclosure itself is not waterproof, so it's not IP rated in any way. The media player is housed in well, in some cases, if the media player has to be in the unit, it would be in an IP rated enclosure. But sometimes the media is just streamed, through digitally into the kiosk. And so the KFC ones have got an IP rated large format IP65 rated screen mounted onto the enclosure itself, which is but definitely ruggedized, but not waterproof. But you can definitely do an IP rated version if you wanted to go that way. But I think from a warranty point of view and everything, it's better to go with the manufacturers, like a Samsung or an LG or someone like that who's got an IP rated solution and adapt it to the kiosk. So yeah, we're looking at a lot of them for smart cities, all that side of things for sure.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul and Eric, for answering those. I'll just hand over to Chris James.
Look, I just really want to thank you, Paul and Erica, for being so generous with your time today and also in sharing what you're doing with us. This is the intention of the cluster, and it's terrific having market leaders like yourselves in the region, and even doing those things like student placements that really puts you at the forefront in terms of what people are doing in the region and making use of things like that. One of the things I think this is doing is showing other manufacturers what the next level is, and it's interesting, our data analytics hub work has shown a lot of manufacturers have information all over the place on Excel spreadsheets. Some of them don't know whether they're making money or not on certain product lines, and it's this kind of thing that will tell you that information at a touch of a button. So, so look, we're really grateful for today. We've been talking about doing something like this potentially on site next year as we come out of the back end of COVID. So maybe we can do something like that down the track.
That'd be great. Yeah. And look, from our point of view too, we really, appreciate the support of Northlink, and, none of this happens sort of in isolation. It's all, really your support and, advocating for industry and providing the connections with the various, universities and all that is a tremendous support. And then sort of being able to do this kind of thing too, really helps us, because it sort of helps cement your thinking. And then, there's actually a couple of things that I've thought about in doing this that we could, that we could possibly add to make it better. So it always really helps. So I really appreciate your support and the opportunity to present this.
Thanks, Paul. And look, we'll see what we can do together in the new year to keep this conversation going. And so thank you again, and thank you everyone for attending today. And have a great day, and hopefully see you again before Christmas. But if not, have a good one.
Yep. Thanks, guys.